everybody, this is King, and I'm going to be doing what is essentially a footage dump on a KSP project that never really got fully realized. You may be wondering why it's been so long since I've had a KSP video out, and it's partly because I've been sinking a lot of time into this futile thing. Basically, my premise was going to be I want to drive the super train around the world and possibly visit all of the major landmarks with the, what are they, the monoliths? Yeah, the monoliths. So first I installed the ISA MapSat plugin. I mounted it to the train engine, and I'm sending the engine out to the rest of the train on a sort of rocket carrier thing. Because I just wanted it to be get there as soon as possible. The problem is you get stuff like this. So sometimes it just takes longer. Basically, this entire deal ended up being probably too tedious to even be worth it, because you keep breaking and having to reload the saves and all sorts of crap like that. So eventually that thing runs out of fuel after actually making it and not crashing, so I just drive the thing on its own the rest of the way. Turns out this thing actually works with time acceleration pretty well, just like the Rock and Rove did with the slipperiness I showed in the earlier episode. Now, I finally reached the train, and after some trouble, because even though the wheels are put at the same height, it's ultimately a difference because one is heavier than the other. There's actually an outtake I had but scrapped where where the docking port attached to the thing, to the whole train, but it detached from the engine, so I broke it. But yeah, now we're off. I can open the ISA MapSat plugin now, and I can just look at where we are. I have just a little GPS unit in there. I already covered pretty much all of Kerbal with the satellite. Okay, first stop was what seemed to be a crater quite a ways north of KSC. I never found a monolith in this one. Maybe it was on the rim or something, but yeah, it was already a tough climb, and I decided it wasn't really worth investigating, because that was too steep for me to risk putting the whole train in there. So I basically just detached the car that I was going to put down there and drove it in myself. And that can sometimes present problems on their own, because you see, the cars by themselves are really bad at driving. They are very slippery. If you put any kind of time acceleration on them, they're just gonna spin out. It's kind of funny to watch them like disco dance like that. And I don't know if this was supposed to be an outtake or if I just left it in pieces, but yeah, that one exploded at the bottom of the crater. So then after that we head north, because guess where the next one is? All the way up in the Arctic regions. I just want to film myself passing over the line. All of this took place over several weeks of on and off activity. Ultimately, it was too boring to complete, but I actually got a lot of driving in. Up north, the big problem is just how jagged everything is. Everything is like a cliff, and you just hop around and bump around, and it's just generally not safe. Surprisingly, slipperiness isn't actually the issue, because I guess terrain-based friction wasn't really a thing. But time acceleration-based friction was definitely a thing. But yeah, I can illustrate the main process I'm doing a bit better in this example, because here I am coming up on the Arctic monolith. Well, actually, I don't even know if there's a monolith here, but it's just it's one of the anomalies on the ISA maps that it's what basically is a flying saucer embedded in the ice there, suggestive of a possible alien landing in the past. So I break this. And then I detach the rearmost car every time. Do a little bit of driving, like if I'm not immediately up to it, or just to survey it in a more nimble manner, because that train may be good for distance travel and stability, but it is not good for maneuverability. What I'm doing right now is actually kind of risky, because if that thing tips over, then I have to go back to my quick save, and I do a lot of those very often, but it's still frustrating, because it's not like I can do one just every minute, because I have to stop the train every time I want a quick save. So it's a hassle of some kind either way. Do I go a long stretch and risk having to revert? Or do I quick save often, but also have the side effect of stopping often? It's a frustrating balance, basically. And here I am going back into the normal territory on what is essentially a different continent now. This one has, I believe, 2 more anomalies. I get to all but one of these. There's one on the sea opposite of KSC that I never get to, and I don't think I ever will be able to get to it because the upcoming .21 basically breaks all the saves. Okay, here's an interesting thing. I'd been going on cruise control for a long time and hadn't bothered to look at where I was. So when I finally stopped, quick saved, and went to the map screen, I realized I was about to plow straight into that massive river there. Now, that massive river there presents a problem. I need to cross it somehow. So I decide to just see what happens if I try to go straight into the water. Of course I quick saved before this, but well, we'll see here. It is a very steep slope, so it's not like it's very easy to traverse, even if there wasn't the water there. I broke some wheels in that attempt, and the rear is just flopping around. I have the brakes on full, but I don't have any reverse going, so this thing just keeps going down, and down, and spectacular failure. Now, here I have a bridge. It wasn't far, I was very lucky. Now, I'm running this at 3x speed, so just because it's a particularly monotonous part, there's not really much of a point in showing at an actual speed, or we'd be here for a lot longer. And considering this is just a footage dump and not really... All it is, hey look, I've managed to drive this thing a good ways around Kerbal. It's not really an achievement because I didn't really finish. I don't even know if it's going to be entertaining, but it's just, look what I can do. No point in making it more drawn out than it has to be. I mean, since it looks like it's going slow, even at 300% speed, then imagine how long this actually took me to do. You can see why I gave up on this. I'm not going to even try to continue with this later, because .21 is coming out, and it breaks saves. So yeah, I finally get out. I need to quick save. Luckily, I don't screw up there. Now, the next monolith, or the next just anomaly I have to go to, is one that quite a few people are probably familiar with. It is the Second Space Center. Now, in this version of the game, it is in a big H-shaped valley with really steep walls. So it's not like I can drive the whole train down there safely, or even have any chance of getting out once I am down there. So I detached the car ahead of time and had to drive the wobbly little thing down the slope. I got some wheel damage in the process, as you can see there. I think I did this before, but when I got the guy out to repair the wheel damage, he did the same thing there. He just flopped straight off, and I couldn't get him back up. This time I was lucky to actually get him back up pretty easily. And only then do I actually hit repair. So now I can drive off safely. That took so many tries. And here I am pulling up to the mysterious VAB. And stopping. And here I am, further south, on my next leg of the journey, driving up to the desert temple. Oh, I forgot to mention, back in the ice area, that's when I realized that all the train cars were actually asymmetric. I have more RTGs on one side than I have on the other. Whoopsie. The engine doesn't have that problem, though, because I designed that afterwards and I had more attention to detail. I believe this is sped up, too. I have to change the steering settings on the wheels when I release the cars, because I had to change the main steering settings for the vehicle just so it would actually turn, because it was so long. I had to lock some of the middle wheels and reverse some of the rear wheels to make it turn correctly, because early on in the journey I didn't figure that out, and it took forever to get this thing to change direction, and it would often change direction in the opposite direction I was holding the arrow keys, or the WASD keys, WASD. So that was frustrating. And over here, I decided to keep this footage. I have a lot of other footage of me goofing around that I decided to drop just for time restraints, and mainly disk space restraints, because this is before I figured out the compression on my videos that will allow me to hold 3 times as much space, 3 times as much footage in the same space. So there you can see me just driving off that, just being funny and crashing. Now also, since it seems that the world has the same collision as it has visuals, that means something's going to happen when I drive under this, and I need to find out what. Instant disintegration. Brilliant. I don't know if that was like a glitch in my version alone, or if it's actually built into Kerbal and happens for everyone, but the things that happen when you have one polygon vertex out of place. Fun. But yeah, this time I do it right. I just pull up and leave it there, and I depart on this vehicle. I was planning to go to that one next on the other continent, but after heading north a while, I run into another big problem. I'm at the river again, and this time around, I'm not at a point that has any of those little land stretches in the middle. None nearby. And at this point, I just get too frustrated. I don't feel any point in continuing. 0.21's coming out. there's not really much actually accomplishable here. I try a couple times at what I decide is the shortest point to actually be crossing the river. I try to cross on engine power. I installed those things on the engine to just to be used in an emergency. I decide this is my emergency, I will use it. But it turns out I never have enough fuel to get both across and up. And RCS does not help in these situations. It's just too weak. So I just end up sliding back, or dying in the water, or both. I have one more KSP video planned in the near future, in this version of the game, before I switch to 0.21. That's going to be a duel encounter, but after that I hopefully can put out some more KSP videos. But yeah, that explains where I've been. Hopefully I'll get some more stuff out soon, but I'm going off on vacation. I'll see you all later.